Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's get everything set up. If you are watching, as always, do please put a hello in the comments. Let's just make sure we're all set up right. Okay, technical fun this morning again. Now I know there's some of you watching. I can see you. Apparently, there we go. Fun and games, eh? Fun and games. Technology's all right unless it doesn't work. There it is. Perfect. Good morning, Sue. Good morning. Good morning. It is warm. It is warm and sunny again. Hurrah. Good evening, Sephora. Sue says morning to Pete and Eric. Eric is sitting down in the sunshine. Pete's at the dentist. No coffee today. Rude. Good morning, Candy and Keith. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Susan. Definitely sunny. Yes. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Emma. Been sat outside. I had to come in. It's sunny, but also feeling icy here. Last night, when I was out in the garden, letting the dog out for the 50 millionth time, there was just that tinge in the air late in the evening, just that kind of autumnal kind of, hello, I'm here. Just a tinge. It's not this morning. This morning is stupidly hot again, but it was there. It was there. Good morning. Good morning, Emma. Good morning, Jane. Jane's computer's slow today. Yeah, I know how it feels, Jane. We have had a stupidly hectic few weeks. It's mad. It's been totally mad. Good morning, Karen. But we've had so much fun. Where to start? The White Raven summer camp. Amazing. Beautiful, beautiful setting. Fordingbridge on the Hampshire-Dorset border. Beautiful setting. So well organised. Such a lovely camp. Everyone was fabulous. Definitely going back next year. Already put it in the diary. The girls and I have went to the seaside this week. Not for a jolly. Well, okay, maybe for a jolly. But because we have plans in action and we needed stuff and we needed to do things. So much happening at Kitchen Witch HQ. It makes my head explode to think about it, but it's all good. And we will, of course, be at Witchfest. We will be there on Saturday, this coming weekend. That will be tomorrow. Lost track of the days. It's that busy. Sunday is the Kitchen Witch online ritual. We're doing an abundance ritual. Sunday evening, open to everyone. Join us for that. Yeah, tons going on. Tons and tons. Good morning, Xenia. Xenia's in an elevator in the hotel in Heathrow. Oh, yes, our international traveller. Good morning, Jalala. Sephora, on our side of the world, my elderberry is budding up and blossom is on plum and almond trees. Spring cometh. It's bizarre, isn't it, to flip round? Xenia, pagan tribal gathering next year. At the moment, there are no details about pagan tribal gathering. There are no dates. There are no tickets. So waiting on that one. We will be at the Green Oaks Festival next year. And we will definitely be at the White Raven. We are looking at other things. So if anyone's got any events you want us to be at next year, we've already got tons of bookings. So get in there quick. Let us know. Let us know. Good morning, Trudy. Good morning, Rachel. Sue, wait until you retire. The days become this day, that day, and the other day. My days are like that at the moment. Good morning, Diane. Good morning, little Miss Nemo. Good morning, Suzanne. Lots and lots of lovely faces. Well, not faces, little tiny avatars. So today's subject is sigils. We briefly mentioned them last week when we were talking about petitions, but there's been a couple of queries this week all to do with sigils. So I thought it would make an interesting subject to cover today. So do you work with sigils? If you do, how do you work with them? What style of sigil do you work with? How do you use them? Do you activate them? And one big question, do you reuse them? Do you use the same sigil again for a similar intent? And if you do you activate each of them, or do you do it collectively? That's the subject for today. Emma, very grateful. Yes, Emma, you inspired today's talk with the sigil queries. Xenia, festival, pagans and witches. We've got, if there's any suggestions, pop them down there and we'll have a look and see if we can do them. So yes, any suggestions, welcome. Anywhere in England, anywhere in, well, even Wales, actually, we're always up for a jolly. So yeah, sigils. So what's a sigil? That was my phone buzzing. Let's have a look. No, it's all good. See, normally I leave my phone downstairs for Pete to have a look at. Just make sure it's nothing urgent. A sigil. It's a symbol. It's a magical symbol created by you with magical intent and meaning. Usually it's made up from letters, but it can be made up from shapes and symbols as well. But it has big magical power. You can write it on paper, you can draw it in sand, you can do the outline with seeds or sand or salt, or it is magical shapes. Good morning, Kerry. Good morning, Eve. So now I've got some little pictures today. You'd be very impressed. I have pictures. So this is probably, it's going to cover my face, probably the sigil that you are most familiar with. You take your sentence, your intent, only come to me, take out the vowels, take out any repeat letters, and you end up with, out of this one, you end up with 5 letters. You then make the 5 letters into a pretty shape. You can join them all together like I have done here. Or you can write them over the top of each other. You can turn them upside down, make them into an image that makes sense to you, that pleases you. So that's probably the type of sigil that most people work with. You condense the intent of your sentence down into a shape. Now that shape can be carved onto candles, it can be written onto paper, it can be added to your spell pouches. Very, very straightforward way of doing it. Right, let's get some of these. So Karen, I don't use them often, so make a fresh one every time. Nita, that's how I do it. Yeah, it's the one that most people, my hands coming out around the paper. Jane, love sigils. The universe watches us making them, so it knows what we mean, but no one else does. I think that's part of it, isn't it? No one else knows what your sigil is. You could put a sigil somewhere quite out in the open and no one would know what it meant. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Ruth. Yeah, I think there are so many different uses and purposes for sigils. You don't even have to write them. You can draw them in the air with your finger or mark them on the wall in salt water or something. Very, very useful. That's the traditional type of sigil. And that's probably the one I work with most, I would say. So could you make one and paint on the outside of the house as protection? Absolutely. You could paint it on the outside of the house. You could draw it on the outside of the house with salt water, or on your windows or on your walls so that it disappears. Yeah, absolutely. I've got some more pretty pictures. Let's have a look. So the other sigil that I work with is this one. Anyone familiar with this one? It is obviously the alphabet in a circle, but it's quite interesting to work with because it doesn't use letters in the actual sigil. So if you are looking for a sigil that you don't want other people, really don't want other people to know what it is, then this might be the one to use, because you go from that one to that. So using the sentence that we had before, whatever it was, money come to me, you take out the vowels, you take out the repeat letters, and then you draw a line. That's this bit. You draw a line from each letter. So you start with the M, draw a line to the N, then up to the Y, cross to the C, back over to the T. And then you've got the shape, and there it is at the bottom. That's your sigil. That's your prosperity, money come to me sigil. It's actually quite clever because no one would have any idea what that little squiggle thing is at the bottom. It's one of the ways that I like to work with them, particularly if you're putting it out somewhere in public view. Just as powerful as the other sigil, but no one has any idea what it is. And I think particularly as well, if you are not very good at putting things together to form something pretty, that one works quite well. I've got a couple of other examples here. Let's do this one. This is the traditional one. This one I did on the computer. So I used that. This is a willpower sigil. So I used quite a funky font on the computer. And I took the vowels and the repeat letters out of the word willpower. The ones I was left with on the computer, I moved the letters around and joined them together to make a sigil that was quite pleasing to the eye. And because it's a funky font, you've got curves and wobbles and stuff. I will give you a heads up. There are sigils on my Oracle cards that are being created at the moment. Animal Dreaming Publishing are producing 4 Kitchen Witch Oracle decks. There are sigils on at least one of the decks. That's what this was made for. But by using the computer fonts, I could get something quite funky and play around with them to put them together, which was quite good fun to do. Also a freestyle one. This one was a money sigil. So in this one, there aren't letters. There are runes. There's the pound sign, obviously, and that is supposed to be a 4-leaf clover. And joining those images together to make a sigil. So no letters, no letter circle. This is just images, symbols associated with money that I put together to make a prosperity symbol, a prosperity sigil. Probably quite obvious what it is with the pound sign in the middle. So they can be however you want to create them, really. And I've seen some really beautiful ones just made with shapes and squiggles that you associate with it. So let's go. Oh, lots of comments. Let's get these up. Let's go. Loads of comments. Excellent. Right, Karen, I add them to spell pouches or put them on the top of the spell jar to seal the intent in. Nice idea. Writing the sigil on the top of the lid of a jar for spells in. Brilliant. Xenia, for general purposes, health, wealth, protection, I keep using the same, but for specific intention, I make a new one. Now that's we have had this question this week about reusing sigils, and I think if you get one that works and it is one for, say, protection, you can use it again. If you've created a sigil, you're happy with the shape of it, you're happy with the design of it, you can use it again. I think you probably need to activate it each time, but you can visualize, you can tell it what you need it to do. I think you need to switch it on each time you use it, but keep it very simple. Big part behind it as well is your willpower, is your intent, your will and your intent. So you've got to put your energy into that sigil. So if you've got one that you've created and you like it, when you use it again, don't forget to recharge it so that it has got a nice boost of new energy to it, would be my suggestion anyway. Candy Keith, never worked with them, truly don't understand them and don't want to work with it till I understand them. Very wise, very wise. It is literally taking your words. It's a spell. It is a spell in a symbol shape. So if you took, let's get that other one up. So I've got my sentence here. This is a prosperity, a money draw sigil. So at the top here, you've got your business. I am aware how bizarre this looks. You've got the sentence at the top, money come to me. That's your spell. That's your desire. That's your goal. So you take out the vowels, you take out any repeat letters because you want to condense it. And that's what this is. That's the letters that are left once you've condensed it. You are compressing it into like boiling it down to just the core. So then you've got these letters left. You take those letters and put them together to make a pleasing sigil. That sigil now carries the power of your spell. That sigil is now a prosperity, money come to me sigil. And you can draw that on anything. You can write it on your petition. You can draw it on the outside of spell jars, on the lid of spell jars. Draw it, write it inside your purse. Very, very useful. Fun to work with too. Good morning, Angela. Hannah, just realised I did this stuff as a kid. Never knew what it was. Excellent. Working magic from the start. Nita, like Xenia, I do the same and refresh an old one for the same intent if required. Yeah, I think that's the core of the question that we had this week was if you reuse a sigil, if you use it again for the same intent, do you recharge it? I think you need to. I think you need to activate each one. Each time you use it, just give it an extra boost of energy, would be my suggestion. But trust your intuition. If you feel like it's already buzzing with energy, then you won't need to worry about it. Diane, I have one I created for the protection of my home. Rewrite it every now and then on the doors in fiery wall of protection oil. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, writing in oil is brilliant too. Maria does the same. Never use sigils, but it's a good thing to think about as it exercises the brain in design of an intent symbol, because you have to consider each element of the design. You're right. It focuses the energy. It focuses your intent. It kind of boils it down into this symbol, and this symbol ends up having huge power. You can create a sigil of your own name if you want to put your personal power on things. I've got a sigil that I use in the Dragon Magic book that is for dragon power. It doesn't have to be for the whole traditional prosperity spell, protection, health, whatever. It can be a personal sigil that has your own power in it, or as say for dragon magic or something like that. That has so many different uses. Sephora's going to sigil away. Jane, I use something similar. Each letter corresponds to a number. Then I do the number wheel. Lastly, draw the lines. Excellent. Maths. If it's got numbers in it, I might avoid it because it's maths. No, it works just as well. Good idea. Jane, you could start decoding the circular sigil by applying a circle to it. I wouldn't start with A at the top in case anyone could crack it. Very true. Very true. You can have the wheel any way round that you like it. Yeah, play around with it. Xenia, during the pandemic, I made one for health with an online sigil generator. It looked good. Now, I have to say, I've seen lots of sigils that are very artistic, that don't use recognizable symbols such as the pound sign or letters or the line principle, just artistic ones. I don't use them because I don't connect with them. I like to see the letters. I like to see the symbols that I recognize. I like to know that I've used the letters if I use the letter wheel. There are some beautiful, if you think about veves, which are symbols, sigils, to summon the lowers, Maman Bridget, Papa Legba. They are beautiful. Do have a look at them. That they are absolutely beautiful, and each one is symbolic of one of the lowers. You could create one if you work with specific deities. You could create one to call upon a deity. So I have never done it. I'm going to have to do that now. You can make one for the Kelach. You can make one for Bridget. You can make one for Athena. Whoever you work with, you could make an artistic sigil to represent them, to call upon them, as Veve's work. Jane, love Oracle decks. Yes, I'm very, very lucky that the Animal Dreaming Company approached me and asked me to create some Kitchen Witch decks. We're working on them. Maria, done one with remaining letters. It's amazing what happens when you begin to write. I think it is, isn't it? It is about channeling their energy as well. Once you start putting those letters together, it just makes sense. It flows, I think. Emma, I've been practicing with different planet number grids depending on the goal. Yes, planet number grids. If you are a student, there's a lesson that includes planetary grids. As I've only just started with them, I still need to determine what works well. What works for one isn't necessarily going to work for another, and vice versa. It is a personal thing. The way that you do them, the way that you design them, the way that you work with them. Little Miss Nemo, to be honest, it never occurs to me to use sigils. I tend to use artifacts as representations rather than symbols. I tend to use a bit of both, really. You know, I like my colour magic, so I'm always bringing colour magic into my spell working. But it's layers again, isn't it? So it is about bringing, and I love working with herbs, obviously, so I bring that in as well. But I do quite often put a sigil on my petition. It brings in those layers of energies. Jane, spy and stave on the top of that sigil. I made it a while back, so there may well be one on the top. I know there's a there we are. I know there is a yeah, there you go. So you've got a rune here, and I know I'm up here. Pound sign. Yep. Well spotted. Well spotted. You know, I would have asked Ness and Heather which ones were the right ones to use for that. Good morning, Hazel. Emma. When I make a sigil, I use both letters and images in one sigil. Seems to help get the imagination going. Yes, absolutely. Combine them. I think particularly if you're using the letters, bring the letters together into your design, and then you can embellish it. Then you can add squiggles and flowers and dots and pound signs and other things to it. You can keep it really simple, which the letter wheel works very well at, because you just have simple lines. But if you want to embellish it, then absolutely, yes, add other things to it. Xenia, Odin's rune spells, the specific runes woven into a bind rune look like sigils too. They do. We went to a very wonderful bind rune workshop run by Rick Kiddle. Fascinating. And we put bind runes onto pebbles. Fascinating. Brilliant to work with. Yeah, bind runes. Fabulous. Maria, just looking at them reactivates. I think if you have the sigils somewhere where that you see them, whether it is on your altar or whether you pop it on your mantelpiece or wherever you want to put it, it is like a spell that you keep going back to. And if you see it, you are keeping it going. And if you feel it needs a boost of energy, recharge it as you look at it. You look at it and think, that feels like that needs a bit of recharging. Recharge it with some extra energy. Googly eyes. Now, yes, sigils with googly eyes. Don't get me started. Jane, could I visualize a sigil into the energy ball when working spells? Absolutely. I think it would have to be quite simple. I do sometimes visualize symbols like a pound sign or a heart when I am working spells. I've not often visualized a sigil because some of them are quite complicated. If you have a simple one that you are familiar with, then yes, absolutely. Well, unless if you've got more brain power than me and you can remember that brain like a sieve. If you've got a good memory and you can memorize the sigil, then yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Angela, does it matter if the letters are upside down? Nope. Or at an odd angle? Nope. To make them fit together in a pleasing pattern? No. I don't know if I've got any upside down ones in that one that I did. One. Willpower. No, I think they're all up the right way. I have got some where I've turned the letters up the other way. So no, doesn't matter at all. Letters can be upside down, sideways, slanted. It needs to be pleasing to the eye. It needs to look like a design, for me anyway. So yes, I have turned letters upside down and I have tipped them. Candy and Keith, can you put a sigil in a petition? Absolutely. I do it a lot. So sometimes I write words on the petition and then add a sigil over the top or beside it. Sometimes I just use the sigil as the petition. So yes, absolutely. Emma, I write my sigils down in a diary and make a note of it. If it worked or not, then I tried to reimagine it if it didn't work. Good idea. Very good idea. These things, whenever you're spell working, it's a good idea to keep a record of things so that you know what works and what doesn't. Sue, could you create a sigil to give someone else, colour it in and frame it as a gift? That would be a very nice idea. I like that. Yes, if you are, you could paint it, you could draw it. If you're very crafty, you could embroider it. Yeah, absolutely. Jalala says maths is evil. Yes, it is. Sephora, I'm thinking I will get some henna and sigil on the skin. Brilliant idea. Henna, lovely because it's not permanent. I have seen people with permanent sigils tattooed on them. I don't have any sigils. I do have some. I've got some Norse protection symbols and things, but I don't have any actual sigils. But yes, henna would work very well. And if you have a simple sigil that you use for confidence or happiness, you could draw it on your skin with just your finger. You could draw it on your skin with essential oil or moisturizer. If you have a communication sigil and you're going to do a talk or a meeting or something, you could draw the communication sigil with your finger on your throat. Yeah, absolutely, you can put it on. Eve, Jonathan did a workshop many years ago. I did one on a black stone with a silver pen, still sits on my desk. Jonathan Argento does have an excellent book on sigils, if anybody's after a book on it. Yeah, Jonathan Argento sigils book. I have got it, it's downstairs. Very good. Published by Phoenix Flames Publishing. If you go to their website, you will find it. Maria, I think they can be of any design as long as it works for you. Absolutely. As with most things, it has to make sense with you. You can get sigils off of the internet. You can get sigils in books. If it doesn't resonate with you, then don't use it. And I actually think sigils should be made by you because it's going to have that personal element to it. And that will give it a huge boost of energy if you've created it yourself. I had to make a speech at a meeting once to counter an appeal to quash a listing we'd put on a community building. I had umpteen sigils stuffed in my bra. Oh, the power of a bra, eh? Excellent. Power of a bra. Love it. Love it. Hazel, crack it. Does it matter if someone can work out letters or parts of a sigil? No, I don't necessarily think so. I think it depends what it is. If you put a protection sigil out there and someone really feels the need to break your code, I guess that's a situation that you could come up against, but it's going to be few and far between, isn't it? The situation dependent, I think. Definitely. Litmus Nemo, I suppose one way of reactivating the sigil would be to trace it with your finger, redrawing it. Yes, like it with prayer. Also, I'm guessing there would be an order in which lines are drawn. Now, that's an interesting point. I think if you're I love the idea of redrawing it, retracing it. That's brilliant. That would definitely reactivate it. The order in which the lines are drawn, when I'm creating the sigil, I tend to do it in the order that the letters come. So I get my pretty picture up again. So if I am doing this one, hang on, let's not confuse ourselves. If I'm doing this one, so I would draw up here, I would trace the M first, then the N, Y, C, and T. I would do it in the order that the letters come in the sentence. But that's me, and that's how I feel it needs to be done. You might prefer to trace the outlines of the letters, following it around in a circle, maybe clockwise or anti-clockwise. I would go for doing it in the order that the letters were written in the sentence, but it doesn't have to be. That's just, my point on it. Good morning, David. It's always chaos here. Right, so it would amplify the intent if that order were kept. I think it has to feel right for you. I would do it in the order that the letters come in the sentence, but that doesn't make it right or wrong. It has to feel right for you. Yes, I that makes sense to me, but I think it has to feel right for you. David, I don't think it matters if the letters even look like the letter. No, it's all about the subconscious, and the subconscious sees everything. It's your design. It's your creation. It has to make sense to you. If it feels right to you, then it's right. Eve, I use biro on my skin, washes off next shower. Nice. It's like writing something you've forgotten on your hand. Yeah, Xenia, right. We're all writing on your skin with pens. We used to get told off for that as kids. Xenia, tend to draw them on the skin with a pen. It was bind runes. Yeah, it works. It works. The kids used to colour in my tattoos when they were little. Maria, I bought a protection sigil from the Witchcraft Museum that I stuck on one of my jackets so they can be given or shared. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is. You're creating a spell, really. You're creating a very simply designed spell. It's got power. It's got magic to it. And, share it. Absolutely. Jane, I have ready prepared sigil paper on my altar, which has been treated with mugwort, success oil, and my goddess blessings. Then when I'm ready to actually write my sigil, it just feels supercharged. Layers. You're adding layers to it. I love it. That you've got your paper ready, you've got it charged with oil, you've got it charged with herbs. You could charge your sigil under the moon, under the sun as well, if you wanted to. It's all adding layers to that energy. Brilliant. Maria, sigil tattoo. Yeah, I think I might have started a seed of an idea there. Sephora, I'm waiting for someone to bring out a line of witch bras. Place for crystal, petition, or sigil. Yes, I have never been able to wear a crystal in my bra. So uncomfortable. But I've had little pockets. That would work. Candy, love these chats. Gives me so many ideas. Do you know, I learn a huge amount of stuff from these chats. And for me, a big part of witchcraft is sharing what I've experienced, the things that I've learned, and you guys doing the same. And we all learn from each other. Not everything is going to work for everyone. There will be ideas that work for you that don't work for me, and vice versa. But putting those ideas out there and sharing those ideas, hopefully someone will be inspired by them. And I quite often come away from these chats thinking, never thought of that before. So yeah, we're all in this together. So let's share. Speaking of bras, I knew we'd go off into some kind of bizarre world, don't we? Does anyone else's feet get pelted with numerous crystals when they take their bra off? Great way to carry them, but I always forget they're there. Ping, ping, ping. Yeah, someone definitely needs to come up with, they need to come up with something designed to carry them. David did a business attracting sigil when started dog walking in the same of a smiling dog's face. Oh, I love it. That's, I think, where you bring in imagery that works for you. Bring in those symbols, those shapes, those images that speak of the intent to you. It can be obvious, like a dog's face. Brilliant. Doesn't necessarily have to be. It'll be what you associate with it. Miss Nima, all stuff tissue in there during ballet class. So unladylike, but don't care. Yeah, usually tuck tissue in my sleeve, but no. See, I think we need a range of sigils with googly eyes. I think that's a brilliant idea. Having googly eyes would definitely be a conversation starter. Oh, women's dresses do need pockets. Absolutely. Oh, yes. So, Rachel knows I'm a druid. I do. But I've always felt and been made welcome at least. Oh, that's fabulous. Thank you, Sue. Oh, gosh, yes, we're all in this together. I don't care where anyone is. I don't care if you are a witch, a druid, a non-label, a shamanic practitioner, a sorcerer, I don't care. I really don't care. If you're a nice person and you're decent to other people, it's all good with me. I think it is the whole spiritual umbrella is huge. And my pathway is going to be different to yours. It might be similar, but there will be things I do differently. And I do think we all work from each other. I mean, I have walked the druid path for part of my journey anyway. So, but yeah, it's a whole big spiritual umbrella. We're all under it together. I always say we might be in our own little individual boats, but we're all on the same ocean. So yeah, let's help and support each other. Thank you for that. Emma, at one time I was going to sew a small pouch into my bra for crystals. Never did do it though. Emma, I think you might be onto an idea there. There might be a niche in the market. Crystal pouches for your bra. Little Miss Nemo, this topic has got me thinking about devising sigils and for what occasions uses. They are really, really useful and quite straightforward to do. Well, they can be straightforward. They could be really artistic, but at the base, they are very, very straightforward to do. David, remember, kids, you can mix numbers with letters to make sigils as well instead of, yes, numbers, letters, shapes, symbols, squiggles, doesn't matter. As long as you know what it's meant to be and as long as the intent from you is in there. And if you work with runes or as well, like I showed you in the other symbol, you can use and rune symbols as well in there. It's whatever you think needs to go in there. Angela, I've been painting iodine on myself for healing under appropriate supervision. I think I might start painting sigils with iodine. Yes, that would give it a big boost. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, pockets in dresses. Yeah, women need pockets in dresses. Senia, love the idea of companies weaving their company names into smiling faces or nice symbols. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of magic going on in some of those company symbols. Sephora, totally off topic. Did you use a commercial pattern for the dress that appeared? Yes, I have been. I've got a new sewing machine, so it's all very exciting. I have made a couple of dresses recently. Yes, I did. I did use commercial patterns. Both of them came off of good old Amazon. But yes, and they both had pockets. I can sew okay if I follow a pattern. I don't like sewing. I do because I need to. My daughter can make patterns. She was trained at college to actually make patterns from scratch, which is very clever, but that involves maths, so I'm not doing that. Karen, just imagining my skull tattoos with Google eyes. Yeah. Yes. Perfect. And colour. Yes, we haven't mentioned colour. Now, the sigils that images I showed you are of generally black because they've been used to put into books, which are black and white. But you can bring colour into sigils. Absolutely. Bring a bit of colour magic into it and mix up the colours as well. Emma, I wear a bum bag. Oh, good old bum bags. The back pocket is always full of things I want to charge with my energy. They might be from the 90s, but I don't care. It works brilliantly. Crystals and mojo bags in there too. I have a waist bag thing that I wear when I go to camp and things, when I don't want, leave my hands free. They are very useful. And I'm thinking the one I've got's got a little tiny side pocket. I usually put a lip salve in, but I could put crystals and things in there. Yeah, perfect. Jane, this group is very eclectic. Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't have it any other way. Our local moot is too. We have people from all paths: Druid, heathen, Thenmite, Wiccan, and some just generally rich or pagan. We all get on really well and we learn from each other. Some members give talks on their path and they're very enlightening. You learn all the time. We were at the wonderful White Raven Festival last weekend and we had a talk from the very lovely Claire Pingle on Mary Magdalene. Fascinating. Knew very, very little about her. Fascinating talk. We all came away from it with, that was quite, that amazing. You are always learning, always learning. 30 odd years in this pathway and I am still learning stuff. It's brilliant. Janet went to a psychic fair and found mini pouches to carry crystals in your bra. I think it's a thing that we should have more of. Yeah. David, I got a book full of sigils I designed and I thought it would be smart if I didn't put in the name of the sigil so my subconscious can bypass the conscious mind. And do you think I can remember what any of them are for? When I was looking for sigils this morning, I just did a search. I keep everything on Dropbox. I just did a search for sigil because I wanted some images and all of these sigils came up and I thought I have no idea what any of you are for. Yeah. It's good records. It's a thing to keep records. Karen, drawing a sigil on a fruit for your altar. Just looking at a lemon sitting on mine. That would work. That would work well, wouldn't it? That would work. You could, with a knife, lemons. Yeah, anything with a rind like that would work well to draw a sigil into, wouldn't it? Or even an apple. Good. Excellent. Xenia, love this, discovering similarities and differences. I think there are. I don't think it matters what faith or religion that you follow. There will always be similarities right across the globe. People doing similar things and yeah, it's all good. We'll learn from each other. Jane, colour with homemade inks. Oh, if you are particularly crafty, then absolutely. Otherwise, good old Sharpies. And I say, don't forget the computer. The one I did, that one done on the computer. I think I just did it in PowerPoint or something like that with a funky font. So don't disregard the computer either. It all works. Whatever works for you. Hazel, I always think the symbols at stone circles, caves, ancient sites are sigils. I wonder what some of them meant. Community sigils for local tribes. Yeah, I read a book. I listened to podcasts as well on all of the different symbols that have been found on stones, cups and circles and things. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. It's probably just graffiti. It was probably just bored teenagers carving on rocks. Jane, used to wear bum bags when I had a waist. I've got an equator now, so there's nowhere to put one. Me too, but I just wear it there anyway. It tends to go over or under the bump. Kerry, got all my mother's patterns here. Oh wow, fabulous! I think my mum's a seamstress too. She cut and gives me bits and pieces. I I hadn't sewn for a long time, but I got so bored with all the clothes that were in the shops. So that inspired me to get my sewing machine out and make a couple of dresses, because you can buy fabric in amazing patterns, colours, patterns. I don't think I've got them up here, they're all downstairs. I've got lions and tigers and giraffes and skulls and all sorts of things. Amazing patterns, material, but all the shops, with all the dresses in the shops, are boring. So I was forced to sew them. Emma, I've used an eraser to draw sigils before, so I know it's there, but no one else does. Brilliant. And something like lemon juice would work quite well too, if you don't want them to see it, or just salt water. I'll bring up those pictures again for those at the beginning that missed it. This is the traditional one. And I think as well, it's important to keep this sentence quite short and succinct. If you've got a huge sentence here, then you're going to end up with an awful lot of letters. That's one of the reasons why we take out the vowels and the duplicate letters, is to make it more manageable. So keep this first bit short and to the point, and then you've only got a few letters to play around with. And I mean, I've just used the letters here, but you could add, I could have added a pound sign or a dollar sign in it, lucky clover, anything that symbolizes money. Could have added swirls or squiggles to make it more artistic. This one is the freestyle one, and this is where I've used Ohm and runes. I think Pete's back from the dentist. I can hear the dog barking. But again, I could have added color to it's because this one went into a book, it's black and white. But if I was working it for me, I would have probably done it in green ink, because green is prosperity to me. But this one is an interesting one to work with. Same sentence, same letters left, but you get that bizarre kind of line. And you could embellish that as well. You could embellish that as well. You could also turn the symbol. It doesn't have to be that way up. You could turn it on its side. If you are worried about people recognizing where the letters are on the circle, you could turn it, you could tilt it. It has to mean something to you. It has to look right for you. If you are artistic, you might like to embellish it. You might like to add things to it. And color. Color always works really well. Up here, up here, up here. Not on topic. If you're sewing your own clothes, have you thought about aiming for next year's Me Made May? It's nice feeling wearing something homemade. I'm just making them for me when I get the time. But sewing, I mean, there's nothing to stop you sewing, embroidering, or sewing a sigil into something that you've made, whether it is a tarot bag or clothing or an altar cloth or something. Jane, dressmaking can be an expensive business. Sometimes it does cost more. What I've done is bought material that's in the sale. So if you've seen a picture of me in the red dress that I made with the lions and the tigers on, the material cost 3, 6, 9 quid, which is pretty good going. Sue, go to the charity shop, buy king or supersized duvet covers. They make lovely dresses. Yes, keep an eye out. And sometimes you do find material stashes in charity shops as well. I think, going back to the sigils, I think the sigils have to work with you. For me, the letters and the lines work because I'm a word witch. I like the idea of the letters. The letters make sense to me. Anything, if I stray too far from that, the sigils for me that are all just images, I don't connect with them. So it has to work. It has to work with you. But I do like embellishing the ones I've got. I do, you can sit there and doodle with them, and that will add energy to the intent of it, because you're focused on what you're doing and you're sending energy into that sigil. Sephora, I have a fabric stash. I did have a fabric stash, and I had loads of stuff from the 80s, the 90s in the loft, and I gave it all to charity a long while back. I wished I'd hung on to it. So glad I saved. Fabric is expensive. You could sew sigils into the pockets. That would be brilliant. Nita, on a longer sentence, I take out any duplicated letters. I do anyway. From the start, I take out the vowels and I take out the duplicated letters so that, yes, you are left with a core of letters. It does make it easier, doesn't it? Miss Me Made May is where you spend the month wearing some. I've only made 2 dresses though, so far, so I might have to wash quite a lot. Do a lot of laundry. Karen, love to make my own clothes, never find things that fit. Where do you get patterns from? Even those don't seem to fit my shape. Sometimes you have to adjust. I did just get my patterns from Amazon, but there are some really good sewing companies out there online. Sometimes you have to put darts in, or the style I like is the Lagan look. I like the smock. I like the comfortable. Sometimes you do have to put nips and tucks in to make it fit. David, a fun way of using colour with your sigils is to colour in the spaces between the letters. Yes, come up with a very lovely modern piece of art. Before you know it, the sigil has grown into a landscape and filled with lovely energies. Yes, if you've got loops or twirls or circles or spaces in between, it can turn into a kind of stained glass window type effect as well, can't it? It's about adding energy to it. Sometimes you'll do a sigil and it'll be really simple and it is just the lines, and that's all it needs to be. Other times it'll need a bit more energy adding to it. So it is about adding that colour in, adding the extra embellishments, because you are continuously adding more energy to it then. Angela, IKEA floral duvet covers make fabulous dresses. I've often spotted the fabric used in historical dramas on TV costumes. Brilliant. Sigils, I have to say I'm more attracted to the circular arrangement rather than the monogram idea. Not sure why. Everyone will be different, and I use both ideas. I use the letters, I use the circle, depending on the situation, depending on the intent. Sometimes I am more drawn to one than the other. The circle one with just the lines is because you take the circle away and you just use the lines. It's very simple. It's very straightforward, very to the point. So some intents and situations lend themselves to that. Others, with the monograms, with the letters all together and extra bits, other times you'll feel drawn to use that. It's got to feel right for you. Sephora, if I wanted to do a sigil for shields up work, would that work? Forget to do it when going out and then the blood pressure skyrockets, so need a permanent reminder. Yes, sigils are brilliant for that. You could have it just drawn on a stone that you keep in your pocket. You could even have it on a pendant or something, or if it's a simple one and you keep the image, it's like tapping it. It's like turning it on. For shields up, I will tap my pendant. It's a switch. It's got to work as a switch. So a simple sigil would work very well for that. Sewing patterns. Check out the independent designers such as Sew Liberated, as they also have many blogs on the subject, making adjustments. I can't remember the name of the one I used. It is on my Facebook page. No, name's gone out. But they had videos of someone actually making up the pattern. So if you weren't clear about the instructions on the pattern, then you could follow along on their YouTube channel, which was very useful. Tilly and the patterns. Lovely patterns, fantastic sizes. Thank you. Emma, I add a sigil to my tarot deck for part of my question before I start dealing cards. Nice. Like that idea. Good morning, Andrea. Emma, as a kid, my mum used to drag me around our local sewing shop on Saturday. She was forever buying pants and materials. She made some fab stuff. My mum's a seamstress. So, yeah, we always had, if I wanted something specific, she's always there to make it. There aren't so many fabric shops around anymore. The one that we had local to us has been closed for a while now. It seems to be mostly online, which is very sad. Very sad. Tilly and the Buttons. Yes, I have seen that one. Sigils are personal. And I think for me, that is the bottom line of sigils to me is that they are personal. You create them, and each one you create will be individual and unique to you. If we all worked with the same sentence and we all took the vowels out and we all took the duplicate letters out and made a sigil with the ones that were left, 5 letters, whatever it would, we would all come up with different designs because we add our personal energy to it, and everyone designs things differently and everyone sees things differently. To me, that's the important part of sigils, is they are so personal. And I think that's part of what gives them their power. Now, I did mention at the beginning about activating them. Once you've drawn your sigil, it will need kind of the switch flipped to make it work. You can just visualize energy going into it like you would charge your ingredients, your herbs, your crystals. You can do it that way. Some people burn them to activate them. Some people just touch them. I love the idea that was mentioned earlier about tracing it with your finger. That's brilliant. It's just about mentally switching it on so that it knows that it's now time to work. It is the same, I think, with any spell working, with any ingredients, with any herbs, whatever it might be. You need to just tell them what they need to do and flip the switch. Sephora, we need a universal bugger menopause sigil. Imagine the global power. Again, I think it's nice to have that central global one, but everyone is different. I was talking about the menopause, a workshop that we did this week. Everyone's different. Everyone will have different symptoms. Some people don't even have it. So I think that's the important part, is that sigils are very personal. And that, I think, is what makes them really special. So there you go. Have a play with them. If you'd like to share any of your sigil designs or creations or ideas, do pop them on the Kitchen Witch Coven Facebook page. We'd love to see your sigil designs and your ideas and how you work with them. That would be fantastic. David, got a house protection sigil on the back wall in chalk. That works well, where it gets full sun and moon, so it's constantly getting charged. Brilliant. David is always full of brilliant ideas. Yeah, keep it personal, make it yours, own it. So I will see some of you at Witchfest tomorrow. Hopefully see some of you at the Kitchen Witch online ritual Sunday evening. Otherwise, I will catch up with you all again next week. Take care, everyone.